coming here to our conference in Alnarp. You are welcome. We invited you all here today to learn and share an agroecological vision. We wanted to meet the faces of those who believe we can feed the world justly and adequately. Those who believe in good food, healthy soil, empowered farmers, and strong rural communities. Agroecology is all about interconnectedness and diversity, and so we have tried to make today as diverse and inclusive as possible. All we did was ask you to come, and in Swades you did. Here in our humble Alnarp hideaway, you've come to share an agroecological vision. We're here as students, teachers, scientists, farmers, musicians, activists, citizens, to forward this movement to make real a better and more just food system. Meresiane Mosoki from Martyrs University, Uganda, together with Girmay Tesfay from Mekelle University in Ethiopia. They will speak about agroecology and practice in their respective countries and the university's involvement with SLU. Well,
thank you very much. Thank you for being here. Thank you for honoring the invitations. And let me take this opportunity to thank the organizers, the students who have been to Uganda, the students who honored the call to come and study agroecology. I've been introduced, and here is my short presentation. Uganda Martyrs University started 2008, and with regard to the great idea, allow me to show you Professor Leonard. Professor Leonard, where are you? Allow me to show you Karin. Yes. Coordinators, managers, administrators, and parents. We are asking ourselves, what is agroecology? We had the main activities which are falling in 4 categories, where we had to carry out short courses for agricultural stakeholders. And who are these? Agroecology being a multidisciplinary course or element or sector, we carried out short courses for farmers, students, extension workers, traders, processors, school children, opinion leaders that would be in Uganda, where you have a district leader, a village leader, sub-county, and county. For questions, I'm sure Panila can help me try to explain those different levels. Then we carried out training of community trainers for areas covered in short courses as a follow-up strategy. What do I mean by this? This meant that after the short courses, then we would select 25 of those from 2 regions, so that when Uganda Martyrs University is not there with these facilitators, those community trainers would carry on agroecology in the various regions. We have trained teachers for agroecology education facilitators. Again, allow me, Karin and Leonard came to Uganda trained the teachers from the different faculties and departments of the university and NGOs to see how agroecology could be extended to the short course stakeholders and training of community trainers. We had introductory courses for Uganda Martyrs bachelor's and master's level students, and this was intended to sensitize all the students at the university. All the students, what I mean by that is that all students from all departments, be it economics, be it health science, be it computer, so that at the end, we all have a common understanding of what agroecology is. In 2010, August 27th, after the sensitization, then the Master of Science Agroecology course started. We had pioneer students where people had to apply. They did a GAT examination. 60 students were admitted. Modules were written. That is, modules were written on a common understanding by SLU, Mekelle, and Uganda Martyrs University, and November 2012 saw us graduate 19 agroecologists. We have this year, 2 weeks back, proposals for PhD programs are underway, and you are most welcome. I've given part of that. That is the mode of delivery of our agroecology course. You can go ahead. And that shows you the practical parts of our trainings of the short courses and of the introductory courses. You can see the innovations. You can see the guidance while in the field. This is a facilitator. The lady in the center is a facilitator, and as you can read, please. This is a group of, this was a TOT, and we were out in the field. You can see that was a combined annual general meeting to try and evaluate what are we, where are we, what have we planned, are we up to date? So those are facilitators from Uganda Martyrs University and SLU. Please. And as you can see, it is agroecology. It is multidisciplinary. Next, please. Next. Thank you very much.
A very good morning to you all from the Mekelle team as well. I concur the gratitudes that were expressed by my colleague Meresiane to all people who made this day possible, and especially the students who led this program all the way. So now we can say it is in the hand of the good people, and it will continue for generations. So please a big to my champions, we call them champions in food security and champions in sustainable agriculture. So thank you very much also for giving me this chance to say a few words about the agroecology program in Mekelle University. We share the same evolution that was expressed by my colleague. We started it with a short planning with Leonard and his team. Now we are here with our students and the big community of agroecologists. That is how things evolved. So basically, Mekelle University also is at this stage now. We have a village. We started from that tree. So it's a good expression for agroecology. Start small and you will be big. In 20 years, we started with 40 students. Now we are with 28,000 students in Mekelle University in various fields. So agroecology will also follow the same analogy. So please, you are the first generation and be productive and continue in that way. So we follow this program with generous support of SIDA. I would like also to thank SIDA for making this program possible. All the planning, the financial resources to run the program for the first batch were contributed from SIDA. So the motivation is we have basically food shortage, we have basically human resource shortage in dealing with this problem. So which way? Basically, you know, the conventional approach and conventional education. It hasn't addressed so far. Since the 50s, we are in that line, and now we are talking about the same problem. So we should change. So I think SIDA's accommodation in giving the opportunity for the alternative approach is basic, and this is, I hope, going to work. So our approach, look at the never carrying the charts. Go there with the facilities, work with the farmers. These are farmers who are getting the farmers training course in one of the rounds. The students, down there is our master student, just with the farmer, talking how they are doing it, where can we chip in. You know, they are not ignorant, they have all the knowledge and the skill, and what they need is our facilitation. So basically, this is the approach we follow, experiential learning. We have the same way, the 4 program components, and it's better that I share you where are we in terms of implementing these components. The TOT, even we planned for 20, we achieved, I think, basically 44. So everything is, you know, spreading much faster. So as you can see here, the team from SLU, Leonard in the first round, and Asha, we have in the second round, Ita from here, Alnarp. So it was jointly done. We have NGOs from ISD, Institute of Sustainable Development. So we were trying to be as much as possible accommodative. Then this was very important to create the mass base, the cadres, let's say, for propagating agroecology. So these are contributing to the program. Now we have also farmers, 43 farmers are trained, 20 extension agents. And this is the training process. Everything there and then on the farm. For the extension agents, these are the key people in propagating the idea, especially working with the farmers. So they should be the first targets we have done also to address those farmers. The students in the various agriculture and non-agricultural BSc and master's programs, we have 112 of them trained. We planned for 75. Now we have achieved this level. And the MSc program, which is a basic one. So this is a 2-year program like what you have here in SLU. And basically we have enrolled so far 80, even in 80 students who the first batch already, as I will show you here, when they were admitted and finally with their goal. Hopefully they are also active now. All of them are working, so they are active spreading the fruits of that program. So basically they are dealing with various research activities. You know, in Ethiopia, farmers are basically organic producers, sustainable producers by nature. You know, the use of external input so far, the highest is fertilizer, and that is only 25% for the farmers. And the average use is 12 kilograms per hectare. Completely we are not external input dependent. So how do we maintain this and make it more productive? So the problems are now different than pesticides or other chemical problems. So we have to deal with contextually relevant issues. Some of the challenges, I think, the interdisciplinarity is what we aim. But somehow, if you get students from different disciplines with disciplinary background, it takes time to drop that code and come up with a new one. So basically, that's one of the challenges. Also, the agroecology program needs, or the research needs more time. It is from the start up to the end, it needs more time. It cannot be a one season or one production season research. So that we need to think about it. Well, basically there could be many challenges, but somehow with the help, with the joint cooperation that we are showing in this program, we have gone so far. And in terms of what we have planned, I can say we have 100+% achievement in our targets. So thank you for giving me this opportunity to share you where we are. And I think the rest of my contents were addressed in the presentation by Meresiane. So God bless everyone. Thank you.
Our next speaker is Isabel Pepin. She is from Quebec, Canada. She is a small farmer in Belgium, collaborating with the peasant movement ILEIA Campesina. But also she's going to show us some interesting farming initiatives in Belgium. So, Isabel, welcome.
I'm quite not used to talk in front of so much people. With a microphone and everything on top of that. Okay. But I will do my best to let you know, guys, about what's happening in Belgium. We've got some really nice initiatives going on in Belgium, so I hope you will get images about that and keep it all this in your mind. You have to show me how does that work. This one? Okay. So we've got really active group in Belgium working hard on thinking about agroecology questions, like how to define it, how to apply it, and how to share it around. So you might know this logo of ILEIA Campesina. It's a group who's active all around the world, actually. And that's the European coordination ILEIA Campesina 1. And I'm going to talk a tiny bit about this, as they are defending the peasants' rights, mostly their purpose. Thank you, Joanna. It was a bit long to emerge here in Europe, but because for sure we haven't got the same reality here in Europe than in the southern countries, isn't it? And so it was a bit long, but then a Belgian guy, Olivier de Schutter, wrote out a nice report about agroecology, and that guy is quite recognized around the world, and he said here, sorry, it's all in French, but so a best regulation is not quite enough. We have to make sure there we're going to have a transition towards a durable agriculture in a small scale. And so what I wanted to say to you is here in Europe the main point is to bring the peasants in the art of the changes. And so the most important for the ILEIA Campesina is the food sovereignty. that agroecology is not just about techniques on working the land, but it's also including social, political, economic, and ecological aspects. Their proposal is to fix a definition of agroecology, which is quite hard, I think you know, and for the people to rely on it, and for the term to not be used at any source afterwards, as is going on with the organic term. And they like to gather people together to create more debates, more and more, to talk about it, to bring some new ideas. So they want me to let you know, guys, that they're gonna organize meetings for the next 2 years. So the first one will be in France in 2013. And we're going to talk about the peasant variety of seeds, so seeds keeping, so to talk about how important it is to save the seeds, the old variety and everything, because it's kind of the only way for us to be able to adapt whatever happens. And also we're going to have a meeting in Norway, so it's close to you, yeah. On spring 2013, about the technical aspects of culture, to talk a bit about what the population needs, also to see the needs of the population, and to keep the links with the politics. The third one will be in Spain in 2014. And we're gonna discuss about the short circuits of distribution as a participatory guarantee systems, as maybe creating independent labels. And the fourth one will be in Belgium in 2015 in spring, and we're gonna talk about transmissions, so about teaching about spread out the network of teachers or of training people, and have a really nice, well-based training models. So it's all the occasions to share experiences and build a strategy and a common vision on agroecology and seed keeping also. So there is more groups in Belgium, which is got really nice initiative in Belgium, such as Giraffe, which is a group of researchers and teachers at the universities in Belgium. They are quite kind of internationally recognized. They have been writing a lot of books about agroecology, really nice references. Also, Nature et Progress in Nature, they called, which opened this year a citizen house of seed keeping, so which is kind of a big thing in Belgium, I think, really nice advance, because how important it is to see to keep the seed, but also because those persons who are active in that group, it's all like farmers, people who work the land, and so the seeds are dynamic. The seeds are from our local region, and the seeds are mean to be for us, so they are well adapted and dynamic. So all of this, yeah, I want to talk mostly about one of those groups that I know more, and I think they are quite ahead on manifesting agroecology. It's called the Movement of Peasant Actions, le Mouvement d'Action Paysanne, MAP. So I will call it MAP if you don't mind. So it's kind of moving a lot because of them in Belgium. They are part of the Campesina. And they gather a lot. They are really busy thinking about what we're gonna do, how we're gonna organize stuff, how we're gonna save the world. And so they are sharing with the people, they are discussing a lot, they are listening, and they are exchanging. So they are present all the time to, they do as we, they create like nice encounters to discuss, to share, to tell the people what kind of system that we are in and why we want to go out of it, or why we want to create alternatives. We also had the chance to develop agroecology question with Pierre Rabhi. I don't know if you know that guy, he's quite a nice reference in France, which is, he said, when I was 20 years old, the modernity appears to me like a big imposture. So when he was 20 years old, and so you can imagine now what he's thinking about it. And so, yeah, MAP is always present on agriculture. Yeah, they are always willing on fighting for the good things, like GMO. In Belgium, we've got no GMO at all, but it was one experimental crop from a university in the Flemish part of Belgium, so the north part. And they all come together to say, no, we're not agree with that. We don't want that in our country. And so you saw all those fences, all those security guys, but they even managed to get in the crop, to take out the GMO potatoes and to put some organic one instead. So, but the saddest thing about it is that 11 of them got caught by the police and they got brought to the court tribunal, and they had really a big judgment. And so they're always there to preserve the seeds, the old variety, and they say university is death, the diversity is life. So get our seeds free and mobilize ourselves. And what else? And they are always present on fairs to tell as much people as they can how important it is to know well about what's happening in Belgium, to be as much as we can together to find solutions. Nice solution is money, an alternative money. So a group in the south region of Belgium, a little region, they create EPI. EPI, it's the alternative money. So it's working well. It's been a year. It's working well, and we're just aware about how it's evolving. In the farmer markets, they are there to share their really good taste of really good and nice project that we've been producing in our farms, and they even create a table where we can say, okay, we don't need this AFSCA. AFSCA, it's like a sanitary organization, like police, sanitary police, who comes to the farm and they're not aware about the reality of people, of the farmer at all, and they just fix rules, sanitary rules, which is not connecting with the reality. And so the MAP built that table to say, okay, we maybe need the AFSCA when we have to sell in a big distribution, a big supermarket, but we don't need for our consumption. We don't need when we sell directly from producer to consumer. And so yeah, here it is. I won't get long on this because it's a big story, but and also a price label that they created because to put on the farmer markets, to for the consumer to be able to decide themselves. It's a product. It's good, tasty, clean, fair, and local. And as much as the consumer get positive feedbacks, as much as the producer get more petals on the flower, on the daisy flower. And so that's another initiative. What else? So now I'm gonna introduce you to our school because I think it's the greatest idea that we had so far. I was to create schools, farm schools, who teach people how to be sustainable themselves. Not for industrial farming, not even for organic farming. It's not enough to us. It's even more deep. It's real durable agriculture. In other terms, it's agroecology applied. So here is school farms. It started in our farm since 5 years ago, and now in Belgium we've got 5 of them spread out in the southeast part of Belgium, so the French-talking part of Belgium. We've got the subsidies. I mean, the training. That's my beautiful daughter. Sorry. And we've got paid from the local government. So Belgium, I've got 3 governments: the Flemish one, the Brussels one, and the Wallonie one. So we've got the Wallonie one with us to put subsidies on our schools. So which is fantastic because of what? Because those people can be trained for free. Just maybe pay food. It's depending on each farm what's the deal about. But so mostly what's happening in the farm, you can have a nice picture on what's going on. We for example, I will talk about our farm because then it's like a bit different on the others, but it's quite the same the same mainstream organization. It's a long-term training, which is 7 months from March to October. People come 2 days a week to get trained, and for us it's a lot about market gardening, so about growing veggies, working with horses, as to get friend with them, how to educate them, how to work the land with them, how to go and bring the wood with them. What else? We teach them how to make cheese and bread. We haven't got milk at the farm, we haven't got flour, but we get it from local farmers around. So we try to localize as much as we can what we need from outside all the time. And so we've got a big part about medicinal plants also. So we go in nature to see the wild plants, we take it in the kitchen to transform it, and we also transform as a remedy. So and in the earth, we're working to understand and to apply. So it's really kind of concrete kind of way of learning. We also have a workshop on how to cut the grass, how to make hay in the Romanian way, such as how you call it, a grind store, how to build a grind store for hay, to feed the animals, and the Romanian way, so all handmade, and so handmade as much as possible. weaving basket, yeah, it's another extra workshop that we give. And we've got one of those farms on the 5 that I told you, which is about eco-construction. So they're learning about how to build houses. So all of this is so agroecology. Yeah, it's agroecology, and so I want to, as a conclusion, to say that the sovereignty is the main point in the agroecology. So it's time to learn now how to be autonomous as much as we can, because we don't know what is going to happen in the future. But it's sure that it will be useful to know how to grow veggies and how to feed yourself, guys. So put your hands in the earth. It's the nicest way to learn. As I did it myself. I think I do believe it's the best way to really learn. But mostly live simply if you can, with less and less footprint, and that will make already a big difference in our world. So thank you.
Thank you very much. It was a very nice presentation. And I would like to introduce our next speaker, which is Akiko Frid. And she came from Östling, which is about 1.5 hours northeast from here. And she is the representative of the slow food movement in Skåne, which is this region of Sweden where we are now.
Hello everyone, nice to meet you. My name is Akiko Frid, and on the list it said Japanese, and I'm Japanese but living in this Skåne in Sweden, and I have been active on the GMO issue by myself, but I have joined the slow food movement 3 years ago, and I'm sitting on the board of the Skåne Nordost. So we have 2 local groups here in Skåne for slow food. And slow food is an international movement, and we call ourselves co-producer. Co-producer means active consumers. We involved with the food production and become closer to the producers. So I present slow food movement as a consumer today. And I think many people here have heard about slow food. And it started in Italy, and we grow a lot. So now we have about 1,500 local groups all over the world, and about 160 countries. And yes, we belong to the Nordic countries, and we 5 countries work together, and we kind of exchange the information, and we meet every year. And in Sweden we have 22 local groups, but we are rather small. We started recently, so for 3 to 5 years, and many local groups are trying to inform people about our activities. So it's kind of slow movement in Sweden, but we try to grow, and our groups, we have about 40 members, and we talk about biodiversity, and our slow food movement, we have consumers and producers and the chefs and the teachers and all people who are involved. So we get lots of opinions from different directions. So we kind of work together in a whole way of thinking. So this is, we call ourselves, local groups is Convivium, and like I said, that we work with the local level. So our activity involves visiting the farms or eating the organic restaurant who serve the local food, and we exchange our opinions all the time, and we participate in the harvest market, also talk about the food from the consumer's perspective. And the slow food, it doesn't say here, but it comes. We have three basic way of thinking is a good, clean, and fair food. And I will explain more. And we eat food with the pleasure. So we want to learn our and develop our senses by eating the food. So for us, eating food is not only for living like daily life or fill up our stomach, but we use our senses to feel the seasons and how this food is produced. And so we have education program for the kids as well. So this is a good, clean, fair, and this is the way we think the sustainable quality food should be produced. And the good means the taste good, and also we can enjoy eating. And clean means that we don't make pollution to the environment. And also fair is like we call fair trade, or fair to everybody who involved to produce food. And this is what she had French, and I took it in English so you can also read it. But we support small-scale family farmers and the local level, and also we promote their seasonal food through our network. And this is our founder, Carlo Petlini, who is from Italy. So he talked about how important our movement is to communicate with all the people involved. And we work in a local level because that's the way we should keep our biodiversity, and also the economically and ecologically it is important that we work together in a local level and understand the ecology of the area who live. So we try to make a community, and we try to reach out all the people through like going to the school and talk about slow food, or we do some kind of taste, playing with taste. So we try to kind of understand each other, how we eat food and appreciate. So we call ourselves co-producers, and the co-producer is the active consumer food. Think the wholeness, how from the seed to the table we sometimes talk about. And also the food miles, or we like to not to eat or depends on the imported food so much, because that creates lots of imbalance in the nature and also the society. So education in our Skåne group, we are developing the educational material for the school children to use. So maybe it will be ready in the autumn. So we will go and talk to the teachers and the school and do some activity around the taste. So it's going to be interesting. And in the slow food movement, we have a university in Italy, and this is the first university about gastronomy. So they educate people about whole things about the taste and how the food has make this taste and everything. I haven't been there, so I don't know, but I have met some students and they are so excited about the so little tiny things and how bacteria works and stuff, and they are so into it. And that's so inspiring to listen to people who are into such wonderful things, which kind of give us a pleasure of feeling these five senses. And we have projects and activities and lots of events. And Tela Madre is the most famous one. It's like an annual meeting. And many people all over the world come. And the slow food movement, we are like a kind of grassroots movement. And we, in the group, we all work voluntary basis. So we only have the people working in the big headquarters, all the staffs, administrators, but in the local groups we all work voluntary. But we take like in Sweden we get 500 yearly fee, but we share that to the international headquarters because we want to support the countries who don't have economical support to come to Tela Madre. So that's how we work. And Tela Madre has these annual meetings. And the Tela Madre Day we organize in each local groups, and usually like 10th December. And we in Skåne we usually have combined with the Nobel Prize dinner. So we do a slow food dinner for celebrating Tela Madre Day in Skåne. So then we usually have lots of people, full of people enjoying the slow kind of Nobel Prize dinner. And also we really care about the biodiversity, and for us the seed issue is also very important, and we are also concerned about the seed being like the biggest chemical GMO company, Monsanto, became the biggest seed company in the world. That's a really scary story. And so we really want to keep our biodiversity, and we really want to keep our seed diversity here in Skåne, which we have been losing a lot. And so in order to keep it, we have to spread to people how important to eat different types of vegetables and also beans. We have different beans in Skåne, but many people don't eat anymore. So we try to develop some products together with producers as well. So we think it's a very serious issue, and also the seed catalog in EU, it kind of gave us small farmers and hobby farmers a hard time, because it's difficult to kind of sell and buy seed. But in a way, if we take it positively, maybe it can be good, because then people can develop our own seed, and without all this market thing, we can do the seed exchange. So we can see that also a positive way, but in order to do that successfully, we have to really spread the information and knowledge to people. So the communication with people is very important. So it's not only kind of making a small group and talk about things in this small group, but we have to cooperate and collaborate with other groups too. So that's a kind of challenge. And we have lots of events, and this way, Alcohol Taste and Presidia, this is the way we try to secure the biodiversity. And also, yeah, like I said, we have many events, and locally and globally. And we have campaigns. And we have many campaigns, and right now in the EU we kind of have been active around the CAP, Common Agriculture Policy. Of course we want EU budget to be used for the small-scale farmers, and also especially for us, less chemical and more organic practice should be supported. And also we have been quite active in Skåne to fight against GMO, just like Isabel said. And Slow Food is also opposing the planting of GMOs. It says commercial, but we are also very concerned about the field trials because it's spread. It's the same thing. And in Sweden we have the beekeepers become also very active, just like all over the world. So we work together also. So we are planning to visit our beekeepers. Also, this freedom for especially the farmers who have been losing the power of seed and their way of practice. So we are completely against GMOs, and the German company BASF have planted GMO potatoes, but they are gone now, so we are very happy. But of course we still have the research plot, quite a few in Skåne, so we are keeping our eyes on these issues. And so we work on the good, clean, fair food, and we say clean, and also in our convivium we talk quite a lot of honest food. So how these producers of production have been honestly, kind of transparently informed to people. And we had lots of these horse meat scandals too. So if we support the local food, and if we see each other's face, then people can't really can lie so much. So we want to do something to create a society with a more honest relationship to each other. So that's the way we work. So if you are interested in slow food movement, please join. We have groups all over the world. And I have a few brochures in English and Swedish, so I put it out. And if I still have some time, do I have time? Yeah, then I want to just talk about the Swedish government recommendation. Maybe not everybody know about it. So the Swedish government, they recommend that 25% public catering should serve or use their budget 20% for organic food. And now these days public sector's organic food increased 18%. and also the 27 municipalities in Sweden have already reached this 25% organic goals, and 5 counties and 1 region. And many municipalities are close to this 25% goals. And also many communes, municipalities have started to choose fair trade coffee and tea, which is also good. And so we are really, I think this agroecology way of thinking is also in line with this Swedish vision. And also we have Sweden's environmental quality objectives. There is also good 16 objectives, and there it says clean air and good clean water, and also good sustainable forest and sustainable production, and also non-toxic environment also. And so I think we are on the right track. And just recently I read about Canada-based farmers' rights organization, ATC Group. And the leader of the group, Pat Mooney, said that in the US now 93% soy is GMO, and 88% is cotton is GMO, and 86 maize is also GMO, and also all are from Monsanto. And this kind of unbalanced way is really threatening our life. So we should really think about how we can keep our seed diversity, because otherwise all this Monsanto and everybody will take over our food security. And I think everybody will here understand and share about this opinion. And I want to encourage everybody to choose locally and organically grown product, and also eat seasonal food with pleasure. Thank you very much.
We are going to continue with our next speaker. He's Heitor Teixeira. He's coming from Brazil, from the Federal University of Viçosa. But now he's doing an internship with the ILEIA. It's the Center for Learning on Sustainable Agriculture in Netherlands. So, welcome.
So hello everybody, good morning. First I would like to thank the organizers for this opportunity. It's very nice to be here and with such a large public. And today in my presentation I'm going to focus a bit on what we did in Brazil, show a bit of our experience, and I'm going to focus on agroforestry systems and also with the students' role in the agroecology movement. So yeah, I'm going to talk a bit of this. So I am from Minas Gerais, Brazil. Our region is called Zona da Mata. It's a very mountainous region, like you can see in the picture. And it's in the southeast of Brazil, in the state of Minas Gerais. And there we have, since the 70s, we had the Green Revolution. I am sure that most of you already heard of it. And in our region we had a strong influence from the Green Revolution. So most of the crops are cultivated in monocultures with high use of inputs and fertilizers and pesticides, and also based on monoculture systems. And it's basically coffee, as you can see in the right picture, and pasture with cows. And although our region is one different thing, because the Green Revolution is more about large scale, in our region we don't have so much large scale farmers, we have more family farmers. And why? because it's mountainous and you cannot use machinery. So you have small-scale farmers, but the Green Revolution also came to the small-scale farmers and also imposed this package of high inputs and industrializing the agriculture. And yeah, conventional agriculture claims to feed the world, to produce food in large quantity and for everybody. We know this is from many years ago, they have this speech, and we know that we still have hunger problems in all over the world, and they didn't solve the problem with hunger. And besides that, many externalities, many side effects of this kind of agriculture are not taken into account normally, which are a lot of them. For example, water contamination, biodiversity loss, human health, soil losses, air emissions, for example. And the farmers suffer with that, with the side effects. Not only the farmers, but also us, the consumers. Huh? So, or the prosumers, maybe, making this thing. So, in one side we have this thing on the field, all these problems that happen with this kind of agriculture. And on the other side, at the university, we have the Federal University of Viçosa, which is the main agricultural university in the region, and is one of the best universities in Brazil. But unfortunately, it's very agribusiness orientated and with very little research on family farmers. And of course, everything is a bit disconnected, as I believe in most of the universities. Why? What is disconnected? The university is disconnected from farmers, from NGOs, from other organizations, and also the theory is disconnected from practice. And yeah, and the movement and science and practice are separated. So we see students and some professors that we see this disconnection in the university, and we see these problems in the field. And they really don't, like, they unvalue the family farmers at the university and in the field. It's like, oh, family farmers, they don't produce anything, it's all about conventional agriculture. But it's not true. We have data from the census, the Brazilian census of 2006, and we can see that, I will show some data that change a bit, that prove that family farmers play a very important role on the production of food. So here, for example, we can see that family farmers only occupy 24.3% of the total agricultural area in Brazil, but they represent 84.4% of the properties, of the total amount of properties, rural properties. And besides only having 24.3% of the area, they produce 38% of the total agricultural production in Brazil. So with less area, they produce 38%. And this is the total production, including what is exported. But if we see only the food that is produced that stays in Brazil, the family farmers produce 70% of the Brazilian food. And here also it's very interesting. You can see how much money per hectare per year, distinguishing family farmers from non-family, and the family farmers is 677 reais, our money, our Brazilian money, against 358 of the conventional, of medium and big scale farmers. So you see that family farmers are more efficient. And besides all this, they receive only 20, yeah?
Sorry, I didn't understand the previous slide. How much money, what do you mean, they spend?
No, how much money, like how much money is produced in the farm, like counting the products there, the food production and what they sell, you know? This production, it can be measured by this. They did this. This is the census made by the government, and so family farm is 677 reais per hectare per year. What's produced in the farm against the farm. Okay, you understand? And but family farmers, although all this importance, they only receive 25% of the credits. And seeing all these problems, the university, the Federal University of Viçosa, in our region, Zona da Mata, together with local farmers organizations, they started working in cooperation 30 years ago, and they created an NGO called CTA, which is Center of Alternative Technology, And since then, it started more than 25 years ago, and since then, in this cooperation between university, farmers and NGO, we've been trying to develop agroecology in the region in a broader perspective. So, this is an old picture of what they did, like some professors of the university with the farmers having meetings and discussing their problems on the field and at the university, and what they could do to solve these problems. So, yeah, the biggest problem the farmers faced is because the monoculture of coffee within the years, they realized that the soil became extremely poor and extremely weak, and the production went down. So what to do? This was the main problem of the farmers, and at the university very little research on it, and like I said before. And then some collective strategies were developed in a participatory way together with the farmers and the NGO and professors and students from the university. And many strategies came out, for example, green manure, crop rotation, use of wild and native species, polycultures, and many other techniques that we can mention. As we could see in the first presentation, many agroecological techniques we can use. We can try, we can experiment. But I want to highlight here the agroforestry systems, which is basically intercropping trees with coffee. In our region is coffee. So you have native trees, fruit trees, and coffee. And sometimes other herbaceous plants also in the lower stratum. So here's some picture. And what is the idea of the agroforestry systems? I put there mimicking nature. What means to mimic nature? It means to try to restore the ecological services that the nature brings. We base the knowledge on agroforest is based on the knowledge on natural forests, because natural forests are self-sufficient, self-renewable, self-sustainable. And why? Because they have ecological services that do their job. And if you don't have ecological services, if you have monoculture only, then you need inputs, external inputs, to maintain your system. So with the agroforestry systems, we try to improve this ecological service, to bring them back to the agricultural systems. And then the needs for inputs are less, because you have, for example, trees that you can prune and incorporate in the soil, and then you increase the fertility. You have many natural enemies that will control the plague, so you don't need to use pesticides. Things like this. So this is ecological services. And what conventional agriculture did was to replace these ecological services for external inputs. And then we try to restore them. And here you can see banana trees, coffees, native trees, and some other fruit trees. And yeah, here's another picture of the agroforestry systems. This is a very nice tree. It's called Inga sp, the scientific name. It's a leguminous plant, so it has the power to fixate nitrogen in the soil, and it produces a lot of organic matter, so it's very good for the coffee. And coffee naturally it's shaded, so the quality of the coffee is better also in these systems. And the source of water goes up. This farmer, Paulo Amaral, he has this experience after putting agroforestry systems and also restoring nature areas. He started realizing that the sprout of water was going higher and higher in the hills. Like, you understand that? Yeah. Like each year, the source of water was higher and in larger quantity. So that's amazing, because water is a very precious resource. And before he started that, the sprout of water could only supply for 2 families, and nowadays it supplies 8 families. So it's a great improvement. And we have research on that, like with numbers and everything. Because of the time, I didn't bring this research results, but you can also check on the internet, Google, etc. Here's some very nice picture of when they started. You can see the soil very damaged, very bare, very poor. And then after 15 years, what became an agroforestry system. So they recovered the soil and they brought the ecological services and everything. So it's very nice, and it's very beautiful, and it's productive as well. And here another picture of the same system. Okay, and like I said, we have many researches on that, like already, because it's been 25 years of experience. So many research has been done on agroforestry systems and also in other fields, but I didn't bring them here, but most of the research are focused on this, on analyzing the ecological services and how they contribute to the sustainability of the system. So we have research on soil losses, on biodiversity, on everything. But I brought this one specifically because it's about the economy, the economic view, because usually this is the point that we get a bit stuck, because I think everybody agrees that agroecology is more environmentally friendly and everything, and you put more biodiversity, but not about the production, because farmers need to produce and they live out of this. So here you can see, sorry it's in Portuguese, but I can't show. It has a laser, this? No? Yeah? In the middle here? Okay, good. Here you can see the productivity, comparing the productivity of conventional coffee and agroforestry coffee. As you can see, the productivity of coffee is a bit lower on agroforestry systems, 0.62 and 0.69 in conventional. Not always. Sometimes agroforestry systems are equal to conventional ones. Not always is like this, but maybe it's a little bit lower, the productivity of the coffee. We can assume that. And but if you have a broader perspective and you look, for example, of the costs of these systems, the conventional is 2,300 reais. Reais is the Brazilian money. And 750 reais on agroforestry. So the costs are much lower. So then you already save some money. And products of agroforestry. In the conventional coffee you have no other products, but in agroforestry you have papaya, banana, citrus, mango, avocado, goiaba, I don't know the name in English, jaca, palm trees, fig, ameixa, other fruits, wood. For example, other fruits and wood, it's very difficult to commercialize, so we don't even take it into account here. But the farmers, they get wood from their systems, and they don't have to buy wood. So this is also good for them. Yeah, I think it's okay. And in the end, you can see the agroforestry, the total balance, 2,493 against 1,088. So this is an economical analysis of agroforestry and conventional. And all of that is, we also believe that this cooperation, it has to be based on a participatory approach. We believe that it's necessary to work together with farmers and not only, go in there and think that academical people are superior or anything like this. We believe we are equal. We have to work in an horizontal perspective. And then why? Because the knowledge of the farmers are of great value. We cannot disconsider it. Participation of people guarantee the efficiency of the policies and of the programs. So if people are fully involved, they can check if something's going wrong and try to solve it. Empowerment of people, and also legitimacy and acceptability. Because if you have a project and you try to impose it to the farmers, and they are not, it's not in a participatory way, it's very difficult for them to accept it and to make it legitimate. So you have to work with them and develop with them, so then they feel empowered and they accept it and they do it. Yeah. Okay, so this was the agroforestry, what we do in the fields, the work with the farmers. But I also think it's important, like I'm a student, so I also would like to talk a bit about the role of the students in this movement. And I think it's very important. The students have the power to change and to do new things and to come up with innovations. So I think it's very important the students to get organized and to fight for changes and for different things. In our university we have 3 groups. GAL, Grupo de Agricultura, Organic Agriculture Group, my t-shirt here, the GAL, APETI, Agroforestry Group, and SAWIP, Permaculture. Okay, permaculture, agroforestry, agroecology, organic agriculture, what is the difference? We try to, all of this is under the umbrella of agroecology, but we have different focus a bit. But we work together, we work in cooperation as well. So we have the Mutirão Ciranda, which is like the cooperation between these three groups, and we work together, we are friends, we are partners. So inside the university, we have occupied some land, so we could work and have some practical experience, because we realized that our courses, our majors, they don't give practical experience for us. So we got some land inside the campus. Here's our area where we practice the outside of it. You see it's a bit old building. Now we have a project to rebuild it. It was already accepted by the university to rebuild this with permacultural techniques and bioconstruction. So next year we will construct a new place for us. And yeah, inside it we have a lot of systems. We have an agroforestry system, we have medicinal plants, annual plants, and yeah, different kind of small systems that we try to have some practice. And yeah, and here's the agroforestry. Here we're building a sauna, ecological sauna, and with bamboo and clay and other materials. Here's the entrance. This side, annual crops and other things. And we try to experiment, and we learn by doing, and most of the times we do wrong. We don't do right, because it's difficult to do agroecology. It's not easy, and we are just students. So we experiment. Many things go wrong, but we learn with it. So that's the importance for us. We're not aiming here to be super productive, and because we don't live out of it. Our aim here is to learn and to show our experience to other people. So we also receive many students from other universities and from our university. We have classes there. We have a professor that supports us, is our supervisor in this project, and one of her classes is in our field. So we take students and we walk around and we see these things. Yeah, my time is up. And okay, so we receive many students. We also receive farmers in our experimental areas to discuss with them. They walk around. Of course it's different from the farmers field, but it's nice at the same time, because they can say what they think of what we're doing, and then you can exchange ideas, and maybe some nice things can come out for the farmers and also for us. So it's very interesting. We also have an experimental area outside of the campus. It's in the area of the NGO that I presented before, CTA, the Center of Technology. We have an experimental area there, more focused on agroforestry. Yeah, some pictures here. And it's the same thing, like we receive students and farmers, professionals, we exchange ideas in this perspective, learning by doing. And one very interesting thing is in these three groups, we have students from different fields, from forestry, agronomy, nutrition, architecture, social sciences, and many other fields. So we come all together to build this. So it's very interesting, because different knowledge is in the same table. And here, recently, we also occupied a house inside the university. Now it's ours, of the agroecology group. It's this house. And yeah, since we occupied it, we are working on it to make it beautiful and to make it agroecological and to make it productive. And yeah, we built some things, spiral herbs, vertical garden. And in this house, we also have the distribution of agroecological products. We get the products from local farmers. It's all organized by students. It's a project, of course. We have supervisors, professors that sign for us. But who really does is the students, in this part that I'm showing. And here we have the distribution every week, every Friday. People can go in this house, and during the week, in the Excel sheet, they can choose what they want. They receive by email. And on Friday, we get the products from the farmers, and on Friday people can go there and take their products. It's all local and organic. Not organic, but agroecological. Yeah, so here's some pictures of the house. And we have also a lot of workshops, practical workshops in these experimental areas in the house. Here we're doing some banana crafting with banana trees, doing things, making soil painting, You can make paint out of soil with glue and water. And we also have seed swaps to stimulate the local seeds and different varieties and diversity of seeds. We also have like artisanal products like soap and hygienic products made of natural things. And we also go out of our areas. We go work with the farmers, we go visit the farmers, and we also have work with children in local schools, in primary and secondary schools. So here's some pictures. These I'm gonna skip, sorry, because I don't have time. And and these groups, these agroecology groups in our university, we're organizing a broader movement. We have a national movement of agroecology groups, of students agroecology groups. So here you can see the map and all the groups that we have. Not all of them, but most of them are here in this map. And we have annual meetings, we have lectures and practical work, and also culture, because we believe agroecology is not only production of food, it's also culture, it's also music, it's also other things. So here's a capoeira roda in the meeting, some music, so I think also this is very important. And okay, I'm just finishing with 2 minutes more. We have the cooperation at national scale, the Brazilian Association of Agroecology. This is not student anymore, it's a broader thing. We also have students participating on it, but we have professors, scientists, people from the government, etc. on this association. And why we believe it's important? Because it gives political strength. And we believe that the problems that we have, okay, we have technical solutions as well, but the main thing is we have to have political solutions as well. So with a national movement, we build political strength and power to really change things at a national scale. And for example, the national policy on agroecology. Last year, this movement, was the women movement. They went on the streets, here you can see. They went on the streets, thousands and thousands of women, and they went to the president, it's also a woman, the Brazilian president. They went to the president, and the president asked them, okay, what do you want? Why are you doing all this? And they said, we want a national policy on agroecology. And then the president signed for it. And now we have a national policy on agroecology. And it's being developed with 2 committees. One committee is more from government people, and the other committee with farmers and people more from the field. So this is important, the cooperation between university, farmers and policymakers. We need to think of this as a whole, and we have to think together. And policymakers, for example, we also have public policies that really help family farmers. For example, the Imai, which is it's a law that says at least 30% of the food in primary and secondary schools must come from local farmers. So this is very good, because before they didn't have market to sell their products. Now they have, because it's obligated by the schools to buy from them. So then they have a market. And other policies that we also have. And just to finalize, the last slide, I am now working in the Netherlands with the ILEIA, this organization, ILEIA, Center for Learning on Sustainable Agriculture. And it's connected on Agriculture's network that has partners in Brazil, in Africa, Peru, China, and here's Africa again. So, this Agriculture's network, they produce magazines. Each of these organizations produce magazines. And it's very nice because the idea is to spread the knowledge about agroecology and family farmers around the world, and to collect this knowledge and spread it. Unfortunately, I forgot the magazines because I was super busy this week, and then I came and I forgot to bring the magazines. I'm so sorry for that. But you can enter in our website, .org, yes. You can enter in the website, but I will also send an email to all of you with the link, because I have the list, if you give me that permission to send to you, and then you can enter in the website, and you can also subscribe for the magazine. The first year is for free, so it's you can subscribe for it. Okay? So thank you very much.
Zambia is the southern part of Africa, and from our project site is from capital city Lusaka, driving about 5 hours to the rural area. In 2004, right-hand side, young girl, Barbara Hachifuka came to Japan when Shumei co-sponsored with UNDP for Asia Pacific Youth Leaders Summit. She came to Japan as a representative from Southern Africa. And we share the story and history and the principle of natural agriculture. After she returned to Zambia, she asked me to come to help support a women farmers group. Actually, her mother created a cooperative to support women farmers. And when I went there, a lot of bumpy road that I didn't see any cars, sometimes cattle and bicycles, and many exciting farmers were waiting for myself. And then I shared the story about natural agriculture, and then they wanted to practice. And they sing and dance all the time. After my first visit, I didn't know how close I can be. The distance I couldn't measure it. And most of the group for women's. And then I stayed in farmhouse. And the next early morning, smoke coming out from the kitchen and cleaning, and then enjoy really local food. This was end of October. So it was the end of the rainy season, so everywhere was so dry, and the river, it's shiny, it's not water, it's a silt. And they said come back next year in March, so you see a lot of greens and maize are growing. So I returned. Then not much difference. 2005 was a drought year, and the country declared national emergency. And then this river, it was October, in March, again, not much difference. And the maize completely dry and dead. So I was traveling around the community, and I saw some few spots still green. And I asked them, what this? They said, they are old stuff. But actually, they were indigenous variety of maize. So I thought this is it, this is the answer. And then left-hand side, maize conventionally growing is already drying, and they couldn't expect any harvest. But right-hand side is a traditional indigenous variety of maize. They were able to harvest it. So, and the seed upper right-hand side is even the maize is damaged by insect, but conventional maize were very healthy and strong. So, reality was farmers was not able to afford to buy seed together with chemical fertilizers. Then I asked them, why don't you save seed? They asked, can we save seed? Yes, you can. That was the beginning. And Shumei natural agriculture, we don't use any type of fertilizers, no agricultural chemicals. And also saving seed is very important part. And so I traveled around a group of women farmers and share the philosophy and how to grow. And each time when I ask, majority of them raise hand. Not because they understood natural agriculture principle, but because just they cannot buy seed. If there is a way to collect their own seed, and without using any fertilizers, if they could grow their staple food, they wanted to practice. So everybody agreed in that year. And then eventually, old lady stood up and said that young man from Japan came, what he was saying is right. Because when I was young, she said, my grandma told me and the importance of saving seed. And so after that, I didn't have to explain the strengths of indigenous variety of maize. The roots grow much deeper. That's why drought tolerant and wind tolerant and the greater resistance to ants, and the bigger kernels, and the thicker and heavier, and the tastier. The farmers all knew, so we start collecting local variety seed that year we were able to collect 7 tons of local variety and share with over 1,000 women farmers as a seed for them to grow natural agriculture practice. And fortunately, year 2005, we received wonderful rain, and they had a beautiful harvest. And you see, the left-hand side is conventional agriculture using chemical fertilizers, hybrid seed. Right-hand side, no fertilizers at all with traditional variety maize. So they were able to see the difference. And so sharing knowledge is one thing very important. So we had a demonstration farmers study session, and then share with them how to save seed. And traditionally, I didn't know this, but when I asked some successful farmer come up to the front and share their success story, but they didn't speak much. But as I asked the question, how you did it, what was good, they start speaking, and then coordinators, they surprised, because normally women, they don't share the story. So, and since then, each time the farmers, not me, but they stand and they travel around the farmers groups and they share their stories and then what they did and how they do. And the meeting comes and they speak, those who become successful, talk about their story, and then each small group sessions and share agriculture. So since we have an agriculture product, we designed the agriculture shop. And you see, this one. Always when we have meetings, the ladies sit down in front of me with a shiny eye. But always in the back, men and the husband sit down and listen. So it was quite nervous, and I didn't know how to bring the men's participation to the event. And always the husband sitting there. But they are the one ask questions. So in the capital city, even before the independence, they have an agriculture show. So why don't we start natural agriculture show in the rural area? We need to have a men's power. So we clear the areas, and they support and create a field to practice natural agriculture show. When I saw children play, and when they look at this ball, and I thought if I could bring and donate a nice real soccer ball, football, they will be happy. And then I presented, not the children, but the women became very excited. So first agriculture show began 8 years ago. And all of the culture, traditional culture came back. More than 3,000 people come together, 3 nights, 4 days. And they usually don't have this kind of event. Only someone have a marriage, a funeral, small number of people come together. But there is no festival big event because it's so far away and they have to walk or someone bicycle. The very people living far away, we rent a truck and pick them up and bring everybody come together. So they were so excited and share their experience and knowledge. So, and always in singing and dancing, and then very creative musical instrument was introduced. And initially I want to do this for children, but most of the case for men, women, and youth, but no children's activity, but there are many children. So eventually I want to do something for the children. And then football was very exciting part. I'm surprised without shoes. They really running around, and football is very exciting part. And so this event makes very much receive interest from men. This man, when I went to his house, he was sitting, and I asked, "Where is your wife?" He said, which means behind the house, and his wife was working in the field. So then, but after this event, he committed. Every year he became a chairman of the coordinating this event. And then we donated this brick making machine, and he became a chairman, and a group of 4 people studied how to make use of this machine, and they make bricks, and then our guest houses, and then and meeting halls, all created on their own hand. And so some years are very difficult, but this year is very difficult. It's going to be. And in 2008, heavy rain continued, and then some rural areas I was not able to reach. Then after that, drought hit, and the maize are totally damaged. And so we need to give some support for the people to eat. Only few farmers planted the very early stage of the rainy season, became very successful. But most of the people have a very much difficult time. And when the difficulty comes, instead of waiting for support from outside, we want to create and people work together to help each other. So some families, as you see, they are able to harvest at least to feed their own family. Some family afford to buy to feed their own family. But some others don't have anything else to eat. So I don't want to give them each same amount. Depends on the different situations, and people support each other. And then I speak to the leaders, and they agree, and then speak to the group of farmers, and finally the chair lady of the cooperative spoke in the local language, and then women agreed to share their maize. So always every maybe 5-6 years, this difficult drought situation hits in that area, but this is a challenge for them to create a very strong community to work together. And the youth and children, I feel very important, and they work very hard. Always those who bring water, carrying is women and children. And so I speak to the youth and then encourage them to do some kind of creative for the community. And then they start making bricks, and then this is the pig sty for grow pigs, and they make some incomes. And from that income, they can begin all different of classes for youth to study. And children, I brought we began this agriculture show, but as I said, only for adults. So then I encourage to bring children to dance, and then today agriculture show will always open by children dancing. And then I brought crayons and then display, and nobody interested in their paintings. Only I am the one taking photos. But eventually, the parents will give a lot of attention to the children, I hope. And this is a foundation for the school. And so at the end of this year, we will have a first classroom for children in Zambia. So that exciting program, always when I go there, they are the one giving me a lot of power and encouragement. And this project is, for our point of view, we say Shumei's natural agriculture project in Zambia, but for them, no. This is our project. The group of Japan come here and just helping us, but this is my project, and they are very excited, and I'm very happy for that. Thank you.
Yes, thank you very much for the invasion, what you say. I haven't speak English in several months, so please help me. You are very clever in English, I hear that. And I'm coming from Jämtland, we say in Sweden. And it's a region up in the middle of Sweden. This is pictures. These pictures is from my farm. We have no professional slides like you have. Our organization, via Campesina, Nordbruk in Sweden, is a very small organization. And I would like to make slides like you made in Brazil and show the small difference, the real small difference in principles between Brazil and countryside up in north, they say in Sweden, the mountain areas. We have nowadays we have total winter still, very cold nights, very dry air this season, and we work very hard in the forest. We have harvest time in forest now, and we need the snow. So we have different sorts of principle for agriculture, agroforestry, and so on. But the situation, the working technique in agriculture, that's almost the same. And that's the strange of Via Campesina. My wife and me, we started our farm when we were very young. We lived on mountain cows and forest up to the new system was born of globalization and EU. And I will talk a little bit of that side of agroecological thing. You mentioned a lot about it, but we need more of political engagement. My wife was very active opinionally about 20 years back, and she said, damn the ecological organization. We can never be ecological. We never succeed at home to be ecological. If not, the society will be ecological. Not even the local society was ecological. It was quite conventional. And with our mountain cows, with our forest working in small-scale principles, we have no possibilities to compete with the conventional farming system. But all your numbers and everything, it shows you can live on it, you can do very well living, you can have a nice social life, you can have a rich culture and everything like that, but not in a conventional system. And that's what was happened 20 years back. We got the globalization and we got EU. We were 8 farmers in Sweden who was struggling against that the Swedish parliament would take the law of land grabbing, of speculation of law. All the Sweden, all the parliaments, all the organization, the farmer organization, the ecological farming organization, the small-scale farming organization, they was for or silent. We were just eight people demonstrating against these land-grabbing laws. It's a very old newspaper picture, and we're standing outside the parliament, the door, and we have our forest clothes on and a motor saw while we cut the law 4 days before. We didn't get any support, so we went to Norway. We left ecological organization, small-scale organization, the LRF organization, and went to Norway small-scale organization. They were building up a new global organization, and it was called Via Campesina. From that day, we felt at home. Somewhere in the world, we felt at home. Not in Sweden. How many of you have experience from north about the forest areas, agriculture? Karin? And someone more? 1, 2, 3, about 3. We have an old agroecological system. We had the development in Brazil. We had 100 years back with cooperation, with struggle against politicians, development in educational sectors, and so about our system. It was quite a big movement. It was not called agroecological. It was not called anything. It was quite natural. This is my old car. This is Vitrus in the middle. And this is an old woman milking out in the forest. These cows, they are very self-dependent. They are very big personalities. They are the agroecological system in our area. In summertime they go out themselves. You follow them to the forest, where you have a little salt and you have a little bit of barley, and you leave a little spot to every cow, and the last one you give the leader cow a little spot of barley and salt. And then they go away out in the forest the whole day, eating themselves, feeding themselves. The older cow learn the younger of the biodiversity, what is good to eat, what is healthy, and so on. And they coming back in the afternoon, and they got milk. And this is a cow with very much of instinct for the herd. They have a strong herd feeling. They have a very good feeling for looking for what food is necessary. They have very easy way of breathing card, what do you say? When you get, they are very easy to get calves. They are small and they milk, they are very good on producing milk. They produce as much milk as other cow if you compare it with the size of the cow, the weight of the cow. So you need a little bit more cows, but they are very good taking care of these landscapes, grassland. Nowadays we have 15 cows. They eat just grass and they get fat. That's the problem. It's not new cultivated grass. It's old grassland. Everything is old grassland. And in spite of that, they get fat. And when they milk very much, we tried, my wife and I tried to get them beets, not sugar beets, but beets, which is grown very much up in the mountains. They got 6 kilos, the biggest one of the beets. And the cows was very healthy, they got very much of milk and so on. So we have very much to take care of, to learn from these cows how you should do from Iceland over to Norway, Sweden, Finland to Karin. That's the traditional cow. When I was young and we went out to the forest with the cows, we had hundreds of thousands of these cows. Today we have less than 5,000 cows in Sweden. And we have even a smaller amount of farmers. That's the problem. So from a very wealthy, rich agriculture system with cooperation built between small-scale organizations, politicians, prime ministers and so on, NGOs we had in the early 90s, we have nothing today. We just have very much big-scale animal farms, milk farms in these areas. And they are very few. When I started, it was 1,500, 1,500. Today, it's less than 150. In 20 years, we have lost 13,500 milk farmers in Sweden. We had 8,500 when we went into the EU system and globalization system. And that's a dangerous thing. That's not a farming problem, it's a society problem. And we still 8 farmers in this organization, a little bit more. We are perhaps 100 members in our organization, but we are still very small, working in ILEIA Campesina. We are not cutting wood. This is from the storm last year, so we had to take care of the trees. We are not selling milk. We do nothing. No production of milk or forest because of the prices. It's lower, the prices is lower than the production cost. But we are investing in timber house building and we are doing it ourselves with old machines like that. We bought that last summer. We use old machines, old methods, like drying hay, for example. And we have a sawmill now too. So we are preparing to survive, but it's a struggle. And it's also a political struggle. How many minutes? If you like to read about old system in forest, you have this Lars Cadell and a friend of mine who have made academical study on cows out in the forest, what they eat and how much they produce, comparing with other economical and everything. We have a study called Nordic Impact Study, we called it. It was made 1993 by REFO, the Nordic Council Research Institute. And they said the same thing like we said, but they did it academically, about natural resources and what was going to happen with natural resources and the agriculture system. They thought that would be very little of agriculture north of Stockholm, Oslo, Helsinki. It's not true for Norway. They didn't go totally into the system. Finland, they make very much struggle to have their farming still producing, but Sweden, we have lost. We have lost almost the whole agriculture society with slaughtering, dairies, banks, distributions and so on. It's gone. The dairy from South Denmark and South Sweden has taken over like a colonial power, the dairy system, and pressing the prices down. So they who have invested now, trying to survive by conventional method with hundreds cows, 150, 200 cows, they are now struggling for surviving and they are not successful. If you want to read about our political fight 100 years back, you have this Jonas Stavling, an academical journalist, researcher, philosophy, what's it called? Philosophy. academical author and so on. He wrote about land grabbing 100 years back. The big companies, the multinational companies, they took the forest. And when they took the forest, they also took the farms. So we had the biggest migration to USA in this Jämtland area. It's big like Denmark or Belgium, with very low population today. But we had the greatest migration to USA 100 years back in all Europe. Percentage. So we have the experience, but we don't have the struggle yet. We are going to a conference now this weekend where we meet other NGOs to make alliance to environmental, social organization. We do it every year on the Via Campesina Day, the 17th April. We have the Via Campesina Day. And it's we have a lot to talk about, as usual, around the world, how to make this struggle. And we can now use the experiments, the political fight they do in Brazil as an example how to do it in Sweden. And agroecological education is very important in this struggle, like an alternative for growing up the agriculture system, because we have lost our self-sufficient. Sweden had food sovereignty 20 years back. We had 100% food supply. We export little, we import little, but it was a food sovereignty system without knowing it, what it was called, because the name wasn't there. It was 1996 we got the name. And now we have 25% self-sufficiency. In 20 years we lost it. The official statistic, they say 50% self-sufficient. That they haven't counted on the feed import, which is coming very much from Brazil. So if the border are closed today in Sweden, we have perhaps 3 days to make the store empty. After that, the food is gone. The difference between 100% self-sufficient is 3 years, perhaps 4 years, if you have a growing system. You can go on growing, like in other countries. But we have 3 days today. And it's the cow who knows how to do it. We farmers, we learn from our animal, the nature, how to do it. But the question is, how shall we link? What methods, what tools do we have to link these experience, this education which need for the next generation? That's the big question, I think. So we go on saying in Via Campesina, globalize the struggle, globalize the hope.
Nice to see so many interesting students, I must say. I have my background from SLU, so I'm very happy to see you all here. But today I work in the Swedish Society for Nature Conservation, Naturskyddsföreningen. I will give you some background to the work we are doing with the global work. The Swedish audience maybe know that we are the oldest environmental organization in Sweden. It was founded in 1999, so we had our 100th celebration a few years ago. At that time, as you can see, it was mostly middle-aged and old men from academia that were the members. It has been a big change since then. Today we are almost 200,000 members, so we are a very, very big organization. That is very interesting because we get access to both media and politicians, for example, and we also have a broad base for consumer activism and so on. All over Sweden we have about 270 branches, local branches, with the members working with environmental issues. And they organize their own activities. We have also a central office with about 100 staff. So it's a really big organization. The goal of SSNC is to preserve all nature life, promote public health, work towards global solidarity. And we have formulated our theory of change, and that is you should start with love for nature, and we also work with consumers' power and political influence. That's the three main ways of working. And here you can see some men working with the forest. It's very popular. For men working in the forest, women loves to work with consumer issues, and every year, since 20 years, we organize an environmental week, the Green Week of Action we call it. And it has mostly been about food, as you can see, bananas, coffee, food and climate, fish, etc. And it has been a Swedish campaign for 20 years, but now we are trying to make it a global campaign this year. So we made a report here. It's called Organic Food and Farming for All. We could also include all these agroecology farming, biological farming, ecological farming, and whatever. And we had a meeting last week with our representatives for our organizations around the world, from Brazil, from Uganda, from Kenya, and from the Philippines. So we planned for this global week together. And this is just one example what we can work with during this global Green Week of Action, the Swedish one. So, you know, we drink a lot of coffee in Sweden. The area that the coffee is produced is 3 times bigger than what is required for our potato consumption, and that potato is our staple food, so it's huge areas, and we're number 2 in coffee drinking. Finland is number 1. So, and we import a lot of coffee that is sprayed with chemicals that we are not allowed to use in Sweden any longer. And that is very inconsequent, we think, so we try to raise awareness about such things. We also have our own environmental certification. You can see it on the trains and on different products. 1980, during the 1980s, we started the first international contacts. And now we have developed a global program. It's SIDA financed. And the vision of that program is that we, together with support 2 other environmental organizations in the world, should work for a more sustainable development. And it, of course, includes both environment, social and economical aspects. We should also have a right-based approach, and we also work for democratic societies. And in Sweden, we try to promote discussions about sustainable development in the official debate and also in the global debate. So we take part of global discussions and go to global meetings and so on, also together with our global partners. And we work within 5 areas of action. It's agriculture and food security, and that's my area of expertise. And forests, marine ecosystems and fisheries. Also climate and environmental toxins in nature. And you can see this is sometimes it's crossing over each other, but you have to cut in one way. So we have a South program financed by SIDA, and we collaborate with about 60 organizations in Africa, Asia and Latin America. And the agriculture and food security part of it also have activities and collaborate with Africa, Asia and Latin America in, as you can see, about 10 countries. And it's about 10, 12 organizations. And the organizations we work with, they are often some kind of umbrella organizations. So they work with a lot of smaller organizations. For example, in Uganda, the one we are working with, they have 1.2 million small-scale farmers in their network. So if you talk about scaling up, that's what we're working with. And Ethiopia, for example, it's ISD, they have tens and tens of thousands of farmers in the network. The Philippines, they have 40,000 or something. So it's not just local example, it's big networks. And to define what we work with, it's an agriculture within the planetary boundaries, based on local resources, recycling of nutrients, biodiversity, ecosystem services. We heard from Brazil about ecosystem services, so I don't think we need to go through that very carefully. You are probably aware of what that is, and it was really interesting to hear your presentation. We do some work together with Brazil, just André Gonçalves, maybe you know about him. Yeah. He's worked at the organization we work with. And ecosystem services, it's about creating some kind of balance. Now this is in Swedish, but you, our audience is mostly Swedish. In a natural ecosystem, you can see that the production of crops is limited, and the ecosystem services are much bigger. So you don't get very much food from a natural ecosystem. If you go to a very intensive agriculture system, monoculture system, you can see that the production of a crop is very high, but then you don't have so much ecosystem services, and that is a problem with that kind of system. So now we come to the agroforestry system, and this is a picture from the southeast of Brazil. So there you have more balanced production, you could say, of both crops and ecosystem services. And as Heitor showed us, the outcome is often higher from these kind of systems. So where shall you be between nature and very intensive monoculture? That is a question, and that also depends on where you are, what kind of conditions you have, climate conditions, soil conditions, etc. Here you can see a fields with some trees. Here you can see alley cultivation. You can see different kind of mixed cropping systems. And here we have how you do it in Brazil. It's our friend André who made this nice presentation. How you build up an agroforestry system with different layers, different crops. You can have, you know, beans in the middle of the system, and you have high trees, you have middle high trees, bushes, and you see everything grows. It's amazing when you see these systems when you come from the cold Sweden. And you just have to put in a seed. You can see them also in Uganda and in Kenya. Yes, almost finalized. Also the monkeys. That's how we work here, how they work in Brazil. Yes. So what about small-scale farmers? We have heard quite a lot about small-scale farmers today. In the world it's about 500 million small-scale farmers, and they produce around half of all food in the world. Somebody say 70%, FAO say 50%. And many of those resource-poor small-scale farmers, they can easily double their yields if they use agroecological principles. Organic farming is one of them. So when you travel around, I think I'm always coming home very happy because I say, oh, it's possible. And it's also important to support these small-scale farmers. I think there are no quick fixes. And talking about food security, it's also very important to support the poor people where they are, because most food are also consumed where people live. We talked about globalization, and it's a threat, but it's about 10% of the food that is crossing borders in total. But it's much to do on different levels. So some pictures from Ethiopia. We have an expert here, so you have to comment if you see something that is wrong. This is up from the highlands in Ethiopia, where the Mekelle University is. So we have a close collaboration with both universities in Sweden, SSNC. All our work is based in science, and we try to work closely with universities, and so do our organizations around the world. So ISD work very closely with Mekelle University, for example, and have exchange with students and NGOs, university, as Heitor told you about. So it's about the same way of working, I would say. And the picture to the right under there is from Adva. Have you heard about the Slaget vid Waterloo? The audience, have you heard about that? Yes. And this is Adva. Have you heard about the battle in Adva? Yes, some of you, Karin, has lived there. But, you know, it's Ethiopia is the only country that didn't get occupied. So they threw out the Italians in Adva, and I think it's an amazing place. I'm happy that I have had the possibility to be there. We don't learn about that in school, that's a pity. And Girmay already told you about the Tigray project and what we are doing up in Tigray, and the focus in the work. It's compost that is one of the key factors, and everywhere I think when you have depleted soils and lack of nutrients, the only way to restore everything is to use stable organic structures, and compost is extremely efficient. If you have a depleted soil, you can't even raise the yields with the chemical fertilizer, how much you put on. You can put on hundreds and hundreds of kilos, but it's just going through the system. So it's stable organic structures. It's really important everywhere. And you also work with ditches and slow down the water flow, water harvesting, dams, ponds, ditches, cheap low-tech solutions, protection against overgrazing, multifunctional trees, biological nitrogen fixation, biological pest control. And we have heard that from all the examples here. I think it's kind of summary of it. We also work a lot with the diversity of spices and varieties, fruit and introduction of fruit and vegetables, and varieties adapted to local conditions, farming, grass varieties, small-scale food processing, as importing seed and others is one. And here you can see some examples of cheap, low-tech solutions. The guy in the middle, he has a clay pot, and he is putting water in that one, and then it's very efficient use of water. It's different dating out in the soil. And to the right you can see a calabash with a rope, and then you have perfect drip irrigation. So there are many ways of cheap low-tech solutions. And again, organic farming is about stable organic structures in the soil, and high water holding capacity is one of the key factors. You have a lot of positive results from this project. The productivity is increased, the yields are higher, and yeah, you can read through quickly. And the other speakers have also mentioned many of these positive results This kind of systems. And this is a final picture from Tigray. It's so beautiful. I call it the Magic Mountains. And as you know, cities are growing, and over 50% of the population on the globe live now in cities. And we also work with urban agriculture together with organizations. And this is a new report we have here. It's about urban agriculture in Addis Ababa and Gothenburg in Sweden. And here is an example from Addis Ababa. It's almost the same everywhere. Wherever you go, it's tomatoes and salad and beans and flowers. And now over to Uganda. We have 2 Ugandan experts here also, or almost 3 experts. And we work together with an organization called Nogamo, and they have 1.2 million small-scale farmers in the networks. It's really impressive. And they work a lot with market development, because also farmers need to earn some money so they can make a better living and send their kids to school and buy some things that they can't produce themselves. So Nogamo is working with market development on different levels, from local markets to regional markets, and also some export of some products to get extra money to the farmers. And they work with development of the food chain, the value chain. And they're doing a really good job. And here you can see this family farmer field schools. We have seen other examples on that earlier. And here's an example from pineapples. They work with the food chain pineapple. And here we have the quality control, and here it's packing for selling the products. And this is a nice example from Uganda, I think, on water harvesting. You can see a lot of water harvesting, different solutions in Uganda on different levels. Yes, we can say that Uganda is a bit like Denmark in Europe. It's a small country, very active and in the front line of pushing a more agroecological agriculture, you could say. Over to the Philippines. Rice is a staple food. And here the farmers in the organization Masipag, they coordinate about 40,000 farmers. They work very closely with researchers at universities and with this NGO. So we also have these, all organizations we work with have a close collaboration between universities, NGOs and farmers, and try to exchange knowledge and have a dialogue around important issues. So this organization, they have their own seed bank, very interesting, and the big seed companies are very interested also because they have saved all the old genes in the old varieties, and they also develop their own new varieties adapted to new circumstances and conditions. So it's a really important work, and here you can see a researcher have a dialogue with farmers and advisors. So it's and the farmers, they are their own researchers, you could say, and it's also important to involve farmers in research because the farmers that are involved in research, they're getting better and better as farmers as well. Empowerment, we have heard that before as well. It's an important key term. And it's some kind of summary. And the farmers, they are really proud of what they are doing, and also the researchers and advisors, I think. So finally, some pictures from Brazil. As Heitor said, they work a lot with agroforestry systems in South Eastern Brazil, different reasons. Rural development is also important, market development, so the farmers can earn some money. So finally, what do you say? Can agroecology or organic farming or ecological agriculture or biological agriculture feed the world? That is the question we often get. And today we produce about the double amount of calories that is needed for the consumption if you look at the global average level. So it's not lack of food, really. And about a little bit less than 1 billion people are undernourished, but at the same time about 1.5 billion people eat too much or wrong. So that is also a problem. And the rich world is eating more and more meat, and a lot of people are eating so much meat so they get sick of eating too much meat. And when you get more money, a lot of people like to eat more animal protein, and that is a problem for food security in the future. Huh? Almost a lot. Yes, and you can see that 50% of the world's cereals is used for animal feed. And also we have had a big debate about wasting food, and in average in the rich countries about 30% of the food is wasted, and in poor countries about 30% is wasted because of problems with storage and so on. And also you can see that organic farming can easily double the yields if the farmers get enough knowledge and use their own knowledge in a good way. So I don't know. As I can see it right now, it's not lack of food that is a real big problem. Not today and not in the coming years. But of course, things can happen, like the climate change, that can change everything. So you need to be resilient, and also to produce food everywhere, and also produce food locally, because we don't know what to happen. If you want to have a resilient society, you also need to be food secure. So what can we do? Distribute food more equal, produce more where the poor people lives. That is for today. Produce more where the harvests are too low. Close the yield gaps. Use water more efficient. Waste less food. Store better. Eat less animal protein in rich countries. Develop fair trade and agriculture policies. Reduce poverty. Stop war and conflicts. Food is not just about producing food. It's also about many other issues, as you probably are aware of. And finally, stop climate change. And we need to use intelligent design. I think that is important, yeah. And some nice props from South America. And this is Ethiopia. Diversity on different scales. So, thank you. Materials out there you can take if you're interested on one of the tables.
Thank you very much for this presentation. Before you leave for lunch, I would just like to show you one slide. I kindly received from our studies coordinator. It's called our studies program. And it is the program me and my classmates are studying, and some of our guests have also been studying. And the first year is composed of the course Agroecology Basics and Ecology of Production Systems, and you can still apply for these courses if you're interested. And the second year is composed of the courses about scientific methods, tools, and thesis writing, and the master thesis. And there are many courses you can choose from also about the management of pests, disease and weeds, environmental economics management, sustainable production in a global perspective, and also many other courses which you can choose from. So if you're interested, please apply for these courses or for the whole program. Thank you.